Hi, Amber. It's Christy. Um, I have been waiting until I had some quiet space to do your reading, so thank you for your patience. And hopefully, this will upload easily and quickly. I decided to do your reading separately from one another, just so that I can kind of change um, my headspace. And also because YouTube is just kind of hard to upload longer videos. So you will be getting two different links. This will be your general reading, and I've just been asking what I should share with you as I shuffle my deck a little bit. I do like to share I'm using my Tarot of the Old Path deck, and I love this deck. I was just immediately drawn to the images, is why I purchased it. Um, but it was also said it was created with the help of 8 witches. So I feel like it's a little extra magical, maybe. Um, anyway, so I've been asking what I should share with you, and I like to start my readings out with a little kind of disclaimer, maybe that um, take what resonates with you. Essentially, I'm just the messenger in this, so I'm going to be pulling cards from you and seeing what I can feel into them, what images come to me, what words come to me, and I just share those things. And so um, it, I always advise people to take what resonates with them and leave behind what doesn't. And so when we talk about what resonates, resonance is when something strikes a chord. So I always picture like when you open up a piano and you see all those like metal strings attached to the keys, and you pluck that. That's resonance. Like it's that like that vibration. Um, and so when something resonates, it kind of plucks a nerve, and you'll know because you either feel like relief or happiness or sick to your stomach, nauseated, upset. Like there's all kinds of responses, but the point is there's a response, and when it doesn't resonate, there's nothing. It's just flat. So usually the things that don't resonate are the things that you forget pretty easily when it comes to a reading or something similar. So keeping all of that in mind, I don't know. You can always reflect on this, or maybe it'll be nice if you keep a piece of paper and you can write down the things as they resonate with you um, for reflection later. It's up to you. All right. So I'm kind of going with the traditional Celtic cross here. I will try to show you what that looks like here. It's a little difficult with the camera being on the computer, but let's see. So this is what we're working with here, and then we've got 4 cards there to the right. And I will show these to you as well as I talk about them when I talk about them, because I love the imagery, and also if you want some clarity, you can always go to other sources and look up maybe what that card has meant to other readers, and maybe get more dimensions. I think sometimes that helps me. So as we're starting out, we've got basically this is who you are where you are now, the 4 of Pentacles. and it's in reverse, upside down. Um, and give me a minute, let me get a feel for these. So this is really interesting because in the way the Celtic cross is laid out, that this is who you are is kind of in the center of these other cards. And there's to the left of this card is the star, which is part of the major arcana. I love this picture. Look how beautiful she is. And then to the right is the high priestess. And so the general idea is that I also love her. She's so magical. And she's like the animal whisperer. The idea is that the left card, the star, is who you are in your recent past, and then the right, the high priestess, is what you're moving into. And so it's interesting to have a Four of Pentacles, which is a minor arcana, a little bit more basic of a card. And as you can see, it is nowhere near like the magical glowiness of the two that I just showed you. To have that in between and for that to represent where you are now is really interesting, because it seems like maybe the transition from the circle being is really rough for you. Because I'm getting this sense with this guy. I'm going to turn him right side up here. You can see he's got kind of this like wary look on his face. He's clutching his pentacles to his chest, which pentacles, these little things, can be coins or something like that. But it's almost like he's clutching them and he's looking over his shoulder, like, who's coming to get me? Who's out to get me? Now it is upside down, which means it's in reverse, and so that could be the opposite of those things. But honestly, I'm just getting the sense that it's really this guy, that there's a sense of wariness going on right now, and you're clutching your resources towards you, concerned about who's coming after them, and who's threatening your security. And it can be real or imaginary. I'm not getting the sense that it's necessarily, I'm not getting the sense of a threat. I'm getting the sense of how you feel threatened. So that means what I'm understanding is that it's not necessarily true. And the Page of Rods is overlaying your Four of Pentacles. And what that means is that's the bridge. That's the bridge between the star and the high priestess. And so it's what you need to get past this place where you're at right now. And the Page of Rods is generally a very youthful character. Rods can symbolize words. So it's someone who I get the sense there's a little bit of naivety about them, but mostly innocence, and coming back to your voice in a stripping down what you've learned, what you've experienced as an adult, coming back to that youthful place of exploration and just saying what you mean. You know, when you're around children and they just say what they're thinking, feeling, seeing, observing, all of that. And it's always very real. It's always very vulnerable and authentic. And so, given that, the star is just really magical person, like character. She's got one foot in the water, one foot on earth. There's this sense that she's even like pouring water down from these shells in her hands. She's not afraid to be naked, to be vulnerable. Her hair is very wild. She's not afraid to be wild. Very in tune with her nature. Also, okay, I don't know what this is down here. It's like, looks like a tool, but it reminded me of balance. And I thought that was interesting that we're tying that into, because she is perfectly balanced between the water and the earth, between emotion and and thought, basically. The water symbolizing emotion, the land symbolizing rationale, logic. So this is you recently, like you were pretty content with being where you are. And what you're moving into is a place where you're essentially the ruler of the land, the high priestess, and this really divine feminine expression of yourself. We see the two moons at the top. There's dark and light in balance with one another. All the animals, magical or real, flock to her. She commands them in a way, but in a way that's life-giving, so it doesn't misuse them. Life just swirls around her, basically. She emanates beauty and light. And so to get from where you are right now to the high priestess place, summon all of that star energy that you had, see how you can reflect on that time, bring that up, and then express it in this really just stripped down, vulnerable way. Vulnerability is going to be the key to moving forward. That's what I'm getting, is that, and that's makes sense. It's the opposite of this guy, right? He is very unvulnerable. He's very protective and clutching and grasping. And speaking of, I just thought of, I was in a yoga class yesterday, and they were talking about the end of the year and setting an intention for our year, and the word was aparigraha, which is one of the 8 limbs of yoga, and you can look those up, but there are 8 limbs. Singly enough, like poses are like one limb of the 8, but anyway, it's all very, a lot of philosophy. Anyway, parigraha means non-grasping, and so one of the yogic practices is the practice of non-grasping, and so I just would invite you to explore that idea a little bit, maybe through this time, and especially as the year is ending. What is it that you're grasping? What is it that you're holding on to? And how can you gently release those things so that you can move into a place of higher power, essentially, of your own power. And the grasping is really, it's denying your power, and it's giving it away to the things you fear as well as to the things you're holding on to. So some things to think about. Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's some of your influences are the King of Rods here, and he's in reverse. But immediately my eye went to his fist there, just tightly holding on to that rod. And also the 8 of Cauldrons, and you can see this guy, he's like almost even running away. I'll turn it this way. He's running away from community. He's like running from these people behind him, clutching all his cauldrons and losing some along the way. Do you see that? The ones that are trailing behind him. And so there's this idea that if the more that you cling to, the more that you grasp, the more potential you actually have to lose the things that are valuable to you. And so letting go is not about, it's not about, how to say this? Letting go, it's not like holding a balloon that, like, okay, the things I value are like, sorry, my hairs, see these weird hairs? Anyway, the things I value is like this balloon full of helium, and if I release it, it's just going to float away. That's not what aparigraha is about. It's about not kind of, I picture it as like either holding someone by the neck or even grasping them by the collar, where you're just like, I won't let go of you. And so you have this thing that in your life, whether it's, a person or an idea or a dream or a business that you want to see flourish and grow big and almost take on a life of its own, but it can't do that as long as you have your hands around its throat or by the collar. And that's what that grasping motion is about. It's about holding on too tightly. And sometimes I think it's about not sharing as well. You see this guy just clutching his resources, the Eight of Cauldrons, and unwilling to share with those behind him. And so some of it is, whether it's time, money, or resources, it's about releasing your grasp on those things too. And so that you can openly share them with the people around you. I kind of want to touch on that doesn't mean being boundaryless. That doesn't mean that then the floodgates open and it's just like free for all, that all your time, money, and resources are available for all. That's not at all what I mean, and I hope that you don't take it that way. All I mean is I sense that there's an encouragement to be a little bit more flexible and to share your gifts, and maybe that's actually what's coming through is you're being invited to share your gifts with people, and it may not be something you even acknowledge as a gift, but it is unique to you, and it's something that the world around you needs. And I have a feeling it's something to do with your voice, you're speaking up, or writing, or poetry, or some things that have come to mind. And so whatever that is that you've kind of been nurturing over here in the dark, it's time to bring that to the light. So you're gonna have some helpers in this, and the resolution may not quite the resolution you're looking for may not quite come in this season, and so it's really an interesting contradictory space, because you're going to be moving into this high priestess energy where things are balanced, and things are you are able to radiate life, but unfortunately that's going to come through struggle, as opposed to as a resolution, or like a resolution to that conflict. So it looks like you're going to be you're going to have some help coming to you. I really like this couple. I like that the woman is really focused on what's in front of her. She's focused on her craft, and the man is focused on her. That is a nice change, huh? So there are two things, and I'm not sure which. It may be a combination of both. Is that you're going to see a male or masculine partner come into your life. I'm not sure if that's romantic, but it is someone who's going to help you focus on the task ahead of you. And masculine doesn't necessarily mean male. I just want to clarify that. It can mean someone with more masculine traits. So it could be a friend or business partner or neighbor or coworker, whatever, that is a little bit more leadership driven, is able to give you some pointers. I guess it could be a mentor, even someone who can help you focus on what's ahead of you and getting that to develop and flourish. I think it's also the development of your own inner masculine. So we are all beings that carry both masculine and feminine traits, and sometimes that's balanced and sometimes it's not. Sometimes we have overly feminine traits, our masculine gets maybe pushed aside, squashed down, or they're just not as prevalent. Sometimes that's flipped. And it's regardless of whether you're male or female. So that's why we do see males who have more feminine qualities. And sensitivity is one of those. That may be one of the more obvious ones, but it can also, feminine qualities, the divine feminine anyway, is very nurturing. It's very relational. It's able to, kind of like the high priestess, it is able to foster life, to radiate life, to bring life into being. And we see that with like the mother archetype. Mothers literally bring life into being. They bring children into the world. And so that's the divine feminine. The divine masculine tends to be a little bit more cold and reserved. Is able to draw boundaries. It's the warrior archetype. It's a protector. Essentially, the masculine is responsible for protecting what's valuable. And so we have both of those energies within us at all times. And I think this may be a season where your masculine energy is cranked up a little bit, and is tending to the feminine. So that's really exciting, because you that's going to play out into the balance that you're looking for, basically. You're going to have both of these energies feeding and tending to one another, but with the feminine essentially getting to focus on what she needs to focus on ahead of her. Yeah. Another helper along the way is going to be the Page of Swords. And this guy is also, the pages are usually those more youthful types, kind of like the Page of Rods. But as you can see, there's a little less innocence in this guy's face. You can see this guy, he looks like a little baby. This guy has definitely got an edge to him. And so I have a feeling that's also going to be working in your favor. Whether that's internal or external, it's not going to matter so much. It's going to be important to know you're going to have this ally on your side who is going to be able to cut through the bullshit. He's got the sword going here. But it also has some like mushrooms in his hand, so he's collecting sustenance. Maybe he's a provider. He could come in that form for you. Someone who brings sweet mushroom gifts to you. Who can keep away the enemies, and that it also that applies to your thoughts. So beliefs that you have about yourself. You're going to see this masculine character that I was talking about, I think, is also going to help defend against some of the beliefs that you've held about yourself that are not helping, and keep those at bay so that you can move forward. And there's going to be some new beginnings, but I think they're going to be rough. And yeah, it's not going to be easy assuming some of these new roles you're moving into. And the kind of the resolution card in all of this spread and for this reading is the Five of Cauldrons, and you'll see that's it's not very happy, unfortunately. You've got the guy here in the front, and his cauldrons are spilling. And you've also got that little child in the back that looks like he's about to dump the cauldron on his head. And so it's going to be, I'm getting the sense that it's growing pains, essentially. And what I'm getting is, don't be discouraged because it doesn't all seem to work out in the timing that you want it to. even though it's messy, that is a sign of growth and effort on your part. That's a sign that you're putting yourself out there. And that's the most important part. So, um, even through the messy, this is where you're going to really need to summon your high priestess energy. Um, is to stay strong and to keep moving forward, even when it doesn't seem like the resolution's coming anytime soon. The other part, though, I'm getting though with the child in the background is to let your inner child play a little bit, um, and try not to get discouraged with it. Try not to suppress it. Instead, listen to it. This may be an intense season of reparenting where you identify the inner child that you have still living within you, and you become its parent again. And maybe parenting in a way you didn't receive, or something that you felt was lacking, or um, um, maybe in a way that wasn't quite loving. Um, and so it'll be important to identify that child, and speak to them. Ask them what they want to say, ask them what they are feeling, ask them what they'd like to see happen. For me, I've done a lot of that kind of work over this past year, and one of the things I would even do was invite my inner child to come out and see the life that we were building, to see how far we've come since the trauma that inner child experienced, to see what we were making of ourselves, of our lives. And so in some ways it was like my inner child and I we are co-creators of this life we're building. And it was almost like that image of like linking arm in arm, like, let's go see what we're doing today. And so I'd invite you along with this process to maybe explore some of that work for yourself. It's good work that you're doing. Even though it's going to be frustrating and the resolution won't come quickly, I think that there are some really strong elements developing here for you that are going to serve you well over time. And so keeping a journal during this season of your life may be really handy. It could become really important for you, not only as you're processing what's going on, or as you could even write letters to your inner child, or let your inner child write letters to whoever they need to, whoever they didn't feel heard by. You could do that kind of stuff in there. It will also be a good reflection point as you're looking back over this season to kind of cull out the lessons that you've learned. Because the next season it may be easy to forget those. And so this would serve as a really good reference point for you. So that is what I'm getting for you for now. You're welcome to message me with any questions that you have. I may or may not be able to answer them. Usually what I tell people is that if you have a burning question and I'm not able to answer it satisfactorily, and even if I am, take that into a meditation or prayer time, and or reflection time, whatever that looks like for you, and just see what that question is stirring up, and ask for those answers from whatever higher power that you engage with, universe, God, whatever. Ask for your answers from that power, and try to be open to receiving. So I think I'm just the messenger here, so I'm not at all an expert in your life or the cards. I like I said, I go with what I see and I share that. And so I may not be the best one to consult when you are really digging deep into some of these things. So yeah, blessings to you, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much